When Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone pulled up to the USA Championships this year in Eugene, Oregon, she isn't going to be running the 400 hurdles. Although she's a world record holder and won a whole bunch of medals in that event, the fact that she's going to run the 400 meter dash is something I've been waiting for a good while now. Granted, she already ran the 400 at the USA's a few years ago, like in 2023. She won the American Championship in a race that really wasn't that close. Most people, myself included, wanted to see if she would threaten the American record, and although she did run fast, she didn't get it. But shortly after that moment, we learned that she wasn't going to be at the Worlds. She was dealing with an injury and said she would, take the rest of that time off to get prepared for the following season. But from that moment up until now, it all worked out because she's an Olympic gold medalist again in the 400 hurdles and broke her own world record multiple times while she was at it. But now, in 2025, the fact that we're going to see her in the 400 meter dash open is a very big deal. Because if that is true, we got to get real about what we're expecting to happen now. At this moment, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone is ranked number 6 in the world in the Open 4. That does automatically put her in the final, and we all kind of know, knowing how fast she can go in the hurdles, she clearly has the talent to get to the World Championship final without much challenge. But let's just deal with the implications of her running the 400, and then we're going to deal with the practicality of what we should expect to happen when she does it. The implications to me are simple. She's already the greatest 400 hurdler of all time on the women's side. Not really a debate to be had. You got the medals and the clocks. What else do you want to see? It is what it is. You got that. At this point, Sydney has already told us, she went on the Ready, Set, Go podcast, that she is trying to, kind of increase or, improve her scorecard throughout track and field. She referred to it almost like doing the heptathlon without doing the hep. The 100, the 200, the 400, the short hurdles, the long hurdles. How can she be the best to, ever do all of it? And by not, I don't mean necessarily be the world record holder or something like that in all the events, but have the best combination of sprinting and hurdling that we've really ever seen. Grand Slam track brought us the opportunity to watch Sydney run the 400 open and the 400 hurdles in the same weekend multiple times. We also got to see her run an open 100, and we saw her in the 100 hurdles. We're talking about the 400 right now, but to clarify, the fact that she went second overall in the Grand Slam track section with short hurdlers, from the short hurdles to the open 1, behind only Akira Nugent, is a very big deal. And then in the 400, the only people who are showing up to the Grand Slam track stage and running faster than her, at any point, were as follows: Gabby Thomas, Salwa Eid Nasser, and Mara Lady Paulino. Gabby Thomas did it in a race where she didn't even win, because Nasser went and ran a world lead in the mid-48th at that time. This was early in the season. Sydney won all of her 400s at Grand Slam track, and they were not, they weren't competitive. She was just way out in front by the time she gets to the home straight. That said, the clock is still the clock, and that's why she's number 6 on the world leaderboards. And Paulino, she's an Olympic gold medalist for a reason. For the most part, she doesn't lose, and she doesn't plan on doing it now. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, and if you really want to know what's going on with the fastest athletes in the world, then you are in the right place. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. If Sydney can actually finish this off and get a world medal, specifically a gold one in the 400, to me, that makes a pretty compelling GOAT argument, because now you're showing your versatility in multiple events where world record holder on one end, world champion on the other. We really don't see people do this, across those events, and she's doing it in an era where there are very competitive women who have staked their claim to the open 400. So that's what I think is, available. But now let's talk about the USAs and get very real about what's likely going to happen. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone going to the final. At the USAs, that is a foregone conclusion. No real worries, no real thought about whether or not she's going to do it. I expect her to win her heats without much challenge. Maybe they put another fast person in there to run with her. But let's talk about who the fast women are for America right now in the 400. Going off of this season, for that matter, even let's go back to the Olympic Games and who America sent there. America has kind of a grab bag of fast women in the 400. That's basically the best way I could describe it. Where I could give you a whole bunch of names. Kendall Ellis, Alexis Holmes. Like, we could do this, but all of them have their own success at different points. But when it comes to sustained success at the top of the podium on the world stage, I mean, what name do you really want me to give you? Because that's just not the era that we're living in. So when it comes to the USA's itself, winning the USA's isn't as big a deal as it is in certain other events. You win the USA's in the 100 or in the 200 for the women, you are a threat to win a gold medal in the world. But in the 4, it just means you're representing Team USA. Everything else is still a conversation. Don't get me wrong. When it comes to collection, like multiple 400 runners on the world stage, Team USA got that. We have the most depth, like compared to any other nation. That's why our relays look the way they do. But this is not the relay. This is individual. And other nations have at least one person they can put out there who is as fast, if not faster, than anybody we normally have been given. So when you add Sydney to the group, she's 6th on the world leaderboards, technically 4th when you're looking at Americans. But now let's get real about who those people are. Gabby Thomas is going to run the 200 at the USA's. Don't expect to see her in a 400 at all. You can just take her off the list because it doesn't really matter. Remember, Sydney is undefeated in the 400 we've seen her run. She has 3 that I can talk about offhand. So if that's the case, who is in those fields? Aaliyah Butler is on the list, and she's, the fastest American that we have right now. And she was at the Prefontaine with Sydney, and it wasn't close. Sydney was in front by the time they got to the line. Likewise, Isabella Whitaker was also in that race. She's also ahead of Sydney on that list. And hey, see where I'm going with this? When you actually face off and have to run against somebody, because this is a sport where the gun goes off and you have to go compete. Sydney has already proven she can beat these women. Even if she hasn't raced them much, technically she's undefeated against them. Because we know that when Sydney is winning, most of the time, this is my assessment, there's more in the tank. She's winning and she's running for the clock, but it's not the same thing as if she was really challenged the entire way through the race. It was truly a battle to the line. I haven't had the privilege of watching Sydney do that in any race this year thus far. It's hard to remember the last time it did happen. You got to go back several years before you get that memory. With that being said, the USA's, I think Sydney winning it is a foregone conclusion. How fast she goes is how fast she goes. We didn't get to watch her at the Ed Murphy Classic. I think that was going to be an amazing time trial, but she was likely going to break 49 because people wanted to run fast at Ed Murphy. She would have joined them. But now that that's over, she was recovering from sickness, didn't give us that clock. She didn't run on that stage. It is what it is. Between the round at the USA, she's going to work out the kinks. In the final, making the team was never a question. And winning it, to me, seems like a foregone conclusion. I'm sure other women are going to run fast. Some of the women who were on the Olympic team last year, who we sent over to the games for the 400, I'm sure they're going to put out their best performances. Shamir Little has underperformed this year. Alexis Holmes has underperformed this year. Kendall Ellis has underperformed in terms of, what you'd want to see, fast clock that would push you to the top of a leaderboard. I'm not counting them out at the USA's in terms of actually making the team. But it's Sydney's race to lose. And remember, she's already an American champion. She's already done it. With a PR that's faster than just about everybody else in that field. It is what it is. Coming back to the Worlds, to me, remember, she's 6th on the world leaderboards. It seems like going to the final and facing off with Paulino and Nasser is a foregone conclusion. That is the moment we're waiting for. We know how fast they are. We know what they're capable of. The only question is, can Sydney actually beat them on that day? Everything else, the USA's included, and all those rounds they run at the Worlds, are just a formality. And when you win, because when we think about the greats in any sport, you're going to have to at some point win a championship. That isn't a foregone conclusion, where you are not necessarily the heavy favorite, but you still pull it out anyway because that's what champions do. Usain Bolt had those moments. That was 2015. That was 2016. He pulled out championships, even though he wasn't hands down the best in the world that year, up until the championship moment, but we knew what he was capable of. The difference is he was doing it in the same events he always was running. Sydney is stepping over into an event group that we knew she was capable of doing, like on the world stage, we just never got the privilege to actually see it. So if this is the moment, you had better grab your popcorn, because there's going to be a show. Because we know that when Sydney runs, she gives us the best that she has. And we've never gotten to witness it with two other athletes who could actually run with her. For her to find it, she had to get rid of the hurdles, because nobody who actually goes over the barriers has figured out how to keep up with her. At least not yet. So although I'm excited for everything that's likely going to go down at the USAs, again, across all the events, one race that I definitely have circled on my calendar is the women's 400 final. Because although I expect Sydney to win, I do expect her to be chasing a ghost, because the fastest women in America aren't exactly her competition. For that matter, Sydney hasn't had a whole lot of real competition, as far as I can tell, in championship races over the past few years. But she also told us that the great ones challenge themselves. And this right here is one of the greatest challenges that she has ever taken on. But history has told me that the smart money is always on Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. In the sport of track and field, confidence is everything, because when you win, that is just the moment when everybody else finds out what you already knew to be true, that fast is a lifestyle. Get your fast is a lifestyle track and field gear at scarecruiting.com/shop, or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.